hello. We have some news. Uh, Somebody please answer this question. To the guy that made Raw more watchable than SmackDown over the last several months, has pushed a collective amount of mid-carders he made Apollo Crews a champion that had selective TV time over 4 years of the roster doing nothing. You get rid of executive director of Monday Night Raw, Paul Heyman. Also formerly advocate of Brock Lesnar, but I'm not going to hurry up and do the whole bit because it's already been done to death every time he's with Brock Lesnar in the ring whenever there is a crowd. Don't know why. And all it says right here is Heyman was in charge of the handling of talent, storylines, promotions, and creative work on Monday Night Raw, and he has been let go, citing clashes with Vince McMahon. WWE's official reason for firing Paul Heyman is that they were consolidating both teams from Raw and SmackDown into groups. Why? Don't know why, but you're gonna like this the most. What essentially means the current executive director of SmackDown is Bruce Pritchard. Well, now, meet the helm with both brands on television. So yes, Bruce Pritchard. Plus, they got rid of their head writer. We don't know who was the executive for SmackDown, but now we got a guy commanding both. And last time it was headed creative executive in charge, like John Laurinaitis, and I think Finlay. Now it came into a guy that was getting selective ratings, in charge of the Randy Orton storyline, making Apollo Crews finally become a champion in the main roster, getting guys like Drew McIntyre to be a main eventer. This is not the first time that you invite him over creative differences, because Paul Heyman was supposed to be head writer responsible for ECW back in 2006. Back when they were a third brand and they were doing selectively well with the hype up of their actual first pay-per-view back at December of 2006. That bombed, and then Vince took control of creative for ECW, and that bombed that only lasted for like 3 more years until it shut down for NXT back in 2010. Now it's Bruce Pritchard, responsible for the weakest years of Impact Wrestling back in 2017, back to I think 2017. Why? For God's sakes, why? You get this melatonin, Walking Dead, Jim Cornette looking midget into executive room, even though he made Impact the most unwatchable thing imaginable. GFW Impact, TNA sort of / Impact, GFW, whatever the hell they were calling it back then. Now it's a strictly Impact. And I'd rather watch that than whatever the hell Bruce Pritchard is going to plan. He's probably going to re-sign some guys that already have criminal charges, and criminal history. Probably going to do some crappy bookings. Don't know what was the point of this entire signing for obviously a guy that knows the business. I understand Paul Heyman doesn't have the greatest reputation, but he knows the business by a T. He obviously has good respect by most of the wrestlers, and has respect off the crowd, and he's been able to break up more ratings on Raw on USA over the last 7 months than SmackDown has been since premiering on Fox last October. It's now June. They're declining near under the ones come in the second hour of showing. SmackDown's declining dramatically. And the first thing you do after getting rid of your head writer, now hiring a new one, then you let Bruce Pritchard take care of both shows, and you already find it struggling enough. Firing Eric Bischoff, that was responsible for SmackDown, and then you fire Paul Heyman, that's been doing all right numbers for Raw over the past several months. Even if we've been having a pandemic, effing over our attendance, even for WrestleMania. Are you serious? This is probably the dumbest decision Vince McMahon ever does. And we understand we say a lot of stuff that we're probably in the wrong for Vince McMahon. This was probably one of his dumber decisions. This is my personal opinion. And I really hate this because we have plenty of other shows trying to actually build up a brand or at least do something to make themselves bigger. So why not have William Regal take care of head bookings? It's been on NXT for what, near over half a decade? Are you serious? We don't know what's happening over for what's going on SmackDown, who's gonna actually make stuff feel legit. And we know at least Paul Heyman knows how to make premier drama and make stuff feel important for next week on Raw. The feuds with Edge, Drew McIntyre being a top star, most of them, those matches with Andrade and Rey Mysterio, minus the Rusev and Lana and Bobby Lashley storyline, but at least I got major shocking points. At least people were really shocked and wanted to see for the next week what was going to happen with Rusev and Bobby Lashley, and they didn't even blow it off on pay-per-view. I mean, they had a tables match that was botched, and then they had a mediocre match on Raw, I think 2 weeks after TLC. And at least Paul Heyman can actually build up numbers. I don't understand that. Imagine if you go somewhere like Impact or some places like ROH or something else, like building up higher a fan base, more potential, like something like MLW or something like sorry, no English in my vocab. Like, more popular like AEW or Ring of Honor. Even though I only see like 2 selections for Paul Heyman for his creative builds, because he's been, kind of screwed over for this business for a long time. The only reason that people even bring him in because he's a good talker for his managerial steps, and yes, he's good at that. But firing at something that he's obviously not failing in, that's a ridiculous thing. I think that's a ridiculous fail out of Vince McMahon's point, and you could see that, how indecisive he's been doing, like firing most of his younger or tenured stars, declining viewerships, completely forgetting that your top star on SmackDown has been off TV since April, since like late March, Roman Reigns, because of the pandemic reasons why he wouldn't compete against Goldberg. All this crap, and the first thing you do is get rid of your head director of creative that's been doing nothing wrong on Raw at this point. At least he's been able to build up pay-per-view matches. I don't know what SmackDown is doing. And Vince McMahon, your Saudi shows ain't it. So I don't know what the first thing you do except fire a guy that obviously knows how to work with weekly programmings. I don't understand this. I understand he's the big boss or anything, but Vince really needs to know how to take critiques with a grain of salt. That's it coming from the DSC show. Like, comment, and subscribe. How you feel about the recent firing of Paul Heyman as the executive for creative on Raw? I obviously have a lot of gripe with it because, I watched a bit of ECW. And I know what he can do on creative. And he's obviously a respected figure in some parts of his career. He's a good talker. So I don't like seeing guys like that obviously has so much to give for the business and can obviously get good ways for Raw to grow at some point than just firing him all because of one spat with the boss. It's a dumb decision. But how you feel about it? Type it down in the comment sections. I like to hear it and help us grow to 30. Well, me.